Welcome back to the Thrive In podcast. Before we jump in, a quick note. This episode includes discussion of suicide and addiction, which may be difficult for some of our listeners. This conversation with Nick Palmer is about resilience, redemption, and the power of community. Nick's story reminds us that even at our lowest, it's never too late to rebuild and believe again. It's raw, it's real, and it's a true reflection of what Thrive In is all about. If you or someone you know is suffering from addiction or thoughts of suicide, call or text 988. Now, let's get into this conversation. Welcome back to the Thrive in Wabash County podcast. This is going to be a fun episode. It's going to be a real episode. We do a lot of promoting all the good things that are happening in the county. Sometimes we kind of glance over what it took to really get there. Mm-hmm. And in tonight's episode, Nick Palmer's joining Christine and I in the studio, and we're going to talk about Nick's journey from the lows to the highs and everything in between. And Nick, welcome to the podcast studio.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here.
I think everybody would recognize Nick from Nick's Dogs, especially at First Fridays in downtown Wabash, or I've seen you set up in front of the Honeywell Center or the Speakeasy. And that's kind of part of the current Nick Palmer.
Yeah, we've been a little bit everywhere with the hot dog truck. So
you get out of the county as well?
Somewhat, not so much anymore. I found that my community here supports me so much more than really anywhere else I can go. Plus, this is where I live. This is where I give back. This is where I try to be of service. So when I'm out, I want to be around the people who got me to where this business has gotten to. I think it's all part of not forgetting where you come from and who was there when the chips were down a little bit and you were trying something new and they didn't let you fall, Mm-hmm. And I want to start out just off the bat by saying that I'm not on this podcast with anything that has to do with me. I take no credit for anything good that's happened in my life. I think that's all because of God and other people that he's put in my life. So just wanted to start out with that because sometimes it's a misconception of, oh, you're going to go on a podcast and talk about yourself. It's like, no, this is about what God's done for me and what other people have done for me. So again, I appreciate you guys having the confidence in me to even have me here. So it's humbling.
Yeah.
I'm already choked up over here, because people who speak boldly about their faith and live in that truth in the hard is beautiful because it's a light to others. And I know that your intention is to let God's light shine through you and wherever you approach life. And so thank you for wanting to make sure that's first and foremost from your heart.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
I mean that.
Did you ever imagine yourself slinging dogs? Like, is this, you were in high school and you're like, you know what? I'm not a corporate guy. I'm going to go sling dogs. Like, how did Nick's Dog Guard come about?
Well, I mean, first off, I barely got through high school, so I wasn't really thinking about much of anything positive back then. But no, I didn't think I was going to be doing food. And actually, like, that idea came out of the blue a little bit. I went to a sixth grade field trip. They take it to Chicago. I don't know if they still do the Chicago trip in sixth grade, but we went there and we got a hot dog from a food vendor, and I was like, that'd be cool to do. This guy had like a line a mile long. But yeah, down the road, it was like I started researching it, and it was just me and a couple buddies sitting around hanging out over some beers, and like, hey, you ought to do it. So I ended up buying a little hot dog cart, and it just kind of, but no, to answer your question, I would never thought in a million years that that's what I would end up doing.
Yeah.
And let alone like leaving a solid factory job to sell $5 hot dogs.
Leaving that job didn't happen overnight either. Like you were busting it day in and day out at your full-time job and running the dog
cart.
I
was working there and using all of my, I think 3 or 4 years straight, all of my vacation went to work. I just worked the dog truck so I could do both.
Yeah.
And, it was a nonstop deal.
And it was a cart.
Yeah.
It was a traditional street cart.
Yeah. It was a little hot dog cart, propane, ran it. And I could do maybe 10 or 15 dogs at a time, I think it was. And I remember that first Friday that I did, I think it was 2019. I think that's when it was.
Yeah.
Time's flown by, but I remember telling my buddy Rodney, I was like, nobody's going to come down here. This is ridiculous. I'm down here looking like an idiot. Like, I had no faith in this thing, really. I mean, but like I said, other people that were in my life did, even back then. And 2 people walked into the parking lot. And I was like, oh, I got 2 people. And I was all fired up. And he's like, well, get making the dogs. And so I was making those 2 hot dogs. And Rodney goes, hey, you need to hurry up. And I was like, I mean, I'm making them. He goes, no, look. And I turned and looked, and the whole parking lot was full of people. And the tickets just started piling up. And I was like, oh, no. So I had to, like, lock in, like, military bearing, just get it done. But, yeah, it was, like I said, it was the community that supported it. It wasn't me. It was people supporting me.
And you went from that small cart to a full truck. And now one of the coolest things that I think about when I see you out, whether it's at a fundraiser or First Fridays, is that you're in that food truck with your mom most of the time.
Yeah, she's the one that stuck it through the whole time, and she's my best help. She's my rock, you know, when things get tough, you know, and I'm stressing out in there, even, I mean, in life in general. We have a lot more conversations in there other than hot dogs, you know, and it's a blessing to be able to spend time with my mom. And like, I pay her, and I'm able to help her. Like, she goes on vacations with the money that she makes off the truck. And like, it's just like you said, I never thought in a million years that we would be doing what we're doing and things would be working out how they are. But yeah, she'd outwork a lot of 20-year-olds. You got to tell her to slow down a little bit. So
I would imagine for her too, to have that extra time with you, her adult child, right? So you're always going to be her child, but her adult child, to have that time with you, I'm sure is incredibly valuable to her as well.
Yeah. And with that being said, she's probably the reason why it stayed active so much, because I have other stuff going on too now. And every time I mention, like, I might take a step back, and she starts getting kind of emotional, you know, she's like, no, we can't take time off. I like doing this. So it's very important to her. And a lot of people like her too. Like, a lot of people love my mom, and she's easy to get along with, and she like genuinely loves people. So it's just a blessing all around, you know? So I'm grateful.
Yeah.
Christine, I don't know about you. I didn't know Nick when he was in like high school age. I wasn't here in Wabash County yet.
Lucky you.
I think I might be a few years senior to Nick. So
1 or 2.
yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have to go into deep detail, but a few.
Yeah.
But Nick, you alluded to it earlier that, you know, when you were in high school, you barely made it even out of high school.
Yeah.
Talk about Nick back then.
Okay. Well, really, it was sports, girls, and partying. You know, that's all I was really worried about doing. And I remember I had to pass English. I had to finish like a paper or something just to graduate. Needed like an extra math credit or something like that. I was your like run of the mill kind of a jock, like didn't really care, you know. I was worried about everything else and what I should have been worried about. And, you know, I kind of paid a price for that. I went to Tri-State for a semester to play football, and I loved college, just hated class, you know. So at the end of the semester, I think I had like a .023 GPA or something crazy, and my old man's like, you really think we need to spend another $30,000 on it? You need to go do something else. So I went to a local factory, dropped out, went to a local factory, and worked there for 2 weeks. And that second Friday, I told him, I was like, I'm not going to be back. And I went to the recruiter station, the Air Force recruiter, and I said, hey, you got to get me out of here, man. I saw the writing on the wall, at least, to where I needed to grow up and have some accountability. And so I went to the military for a short while, and yeah, that's kind of how that all happened. Yeah, so high school, it was kind of a joke to me. I wasn't interested. I have ADHD real bad. And like back then, I say back then, and it really is back then now, you know, 20-some years ago, I don't think that the education system really knew how to deal with kids who had ADHD. Like, we were just kind of labeled
hyperactive,
they're just, you're not going to do anything with your life. You're going to be a screw up. You might as well go.
You can't focus.
Yeah. And so, which is kind of funny, because if you fast forward, the ADHD helps me now in business and doing multiple different things, because like my mind's all over the place, and your creativity, I feel like, is up. So yeah, I was just a kid, man, trying to figure it out. And, you know, I have younger people in my life now who are, you know, 17, 18, 15. My cousin has some younger kids, and it helps me have some grace with them, looking back at how I was. You know, just because some kids get in trouble doesn't mean that they're bad kids, or they're, you know, you should write them off. I think they just need support and people to be honest with them.
So you didn't really specifically say it, but you liked to party when you were in high school. So I assume that meant drinking.
Yeah, drinking, smoking weed,
and so in that
pills, doing whatever people did back then. It was pretty heavy back then. I mean, guys were doing all kinds of stuff in high school,
which then led into the short stint in college, which then led into military. So 3 years in the military, you come home.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it just continues on.
Yeah, because then you had that added on top of it, that internal, like, man, I'm a failure. Like, everybody knows. And it's like the clown's mask that got, you had this mask on, but you got light shined on you, like you ain't who you present yourself to be, So, you live with that for 10, 15 years, and you try to numb things, and then you have a lot of undealt with trauma from your past, and like, yeah, just kind of all kind of piled itself on top of each other, and it turned into a big snowball. And then the next thing you know, like, you can't quit. It's so out of control. Like, you're in this lonely, dark place that you can't get yourself out of. And you look in the mirror, you don't even recognize who you are anymore.
Does it also become part of who you are, though? Like, you're in the group of people that you're with at that point, like, you have a reputation.
Yeah, I think a little bit. Like, I'm still close with a few of the guys, that I really ran hard with for a long time. It wasn't their problem. And I had to recognize that too. Like, this is my deal. Like, this is something Nick did. This is nothing that, the bar did, or the party, or, the people that I was around. It was me. But I think that you do become whatever your environment is, whether it's, for me, it was, yeah, I can go down here and be around these people, or I can go to this person's house who is totally the opposite side of the tracks, and fit right in. I had masks that I would put on instead of just being who I am and being like, take it or leave it. I can only be myself. This is what God made. It took me a long time to get there. I was always trying to be everything to everybody else because I was insecure, and I think when you have those insecurities deep embedded in you and you're not dealing with them, you become this over here and you're this over here, and I'll put this mask on for you, and I'll ride Harleys with you, and I'll go bar fight with you, and then I'll go to church with you, and then everybody's like, who is this guy? And you don't even know because you've never taken time to figure it out. So that's kind of the story of my life up to a certain point,
Yeah, and so let's talk about that point. I mean, did you hit rock bottom at some point? Like, there was a moment that you had a realization that I got to change.
Yeah, almost 5 years ago now, man. Oh, well, I'm just going to get real with it. So I was going to kill myself. I was going to commit suicide, and I was going to drink up to the point and do drugs up to the point where I was numb enough that I was going to walk in a river out in LaGros. And it was like the end of February, and the runoff was happening so that you could hear the water from my house, like, to the river. You could hear it rushing as it gets that high and strong at that time of year. And I walked out to the edge of the river with a bottle of whiskey and smoking dope, whatever I was doing, and I was going to walk in the river. And the next thing I know, I woke up upstairs in a mattress in this abandoned house that I was trying to redo. And the sun was shining through the window. And I remember looking at my phone, and it had like 2% left. And I had a friend who was texting me the night, 2 or 3 nights in a row, because nobody had seen me in like 3 or 4 days. And they kept asking me, hey, are you ready for us to come get you? Because I didn't have a driver's license because I had another OWI, so I couldn't go anywhere. And I remember reaching over and got the phone, and I said, I think I'm ready. And then looking back now, it meant more than I'm ready for a ride home. Mm-hmm. It meant I'm done being this person. I'm done. And it was beyond like the alcohol, the drugs, all that. It was beyond that. It was, I'm done being this person. Whoever this is, I'm done. And whatever it takes, I'll do it. And I'd been in and out of treatment centers and halfway houses and like programs this whole time. So it wasn't like my first time. So people are like, what's going to be different this time, man? Like, and yeah, so then I went to New Beginnings here in Wabash, and I met a guy by the name Joe Sclafani, and he's the director there. And I was going to these meetings there off and on throughout the last couple of years or whatever before this point. Mm-hmm. And I went there thinking it was Wednesday, and there was a meeting that night, a recovery meeting. And the guy that was there, one of the residents, was like, what are you doing, man? He's like, you look like crap. I was like, I feel about worse than I look, And he's like, what have you been doing? I said, what do you think I've been doing? And he's like, what are you doing here, though? I said, I'm here for the meeting, idiot. Like, what do you think? I mean, I'm just not here to hang out. Yeah. And he's like, there's no meeting tonight. He's like, it's the residents only Bible study. And I was like, no, it's Wednesday. He's like, no, it's Tuesday, bro. So I'd been messed up and out of it for so long, I didn't even know what day it was. But what's the chances of that? You know, and up to this point, like I'm basically would be considered like non-believer at a minimum. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to get on out of here then, you know, and he's like, why don't you just drink a cup of coffee? What do you have to do?
I love this guy.
And he got me, you know, because I was like, I mean, he got me there. So he poured me a cup of coffee. He's like, don't worry, Joe will let you stay for the Bible study. Like, all right. So I, against my better, you know, not so good judgment, I stayed there. And within 15 minutes, I was crying on the floor. And these guys, these grown men, basically strangers, were praying with me. And, you know, something changed that day. Something changed that evening. And I accepted Christ in my life. And things have gotten better ever since, you know, slowly. And I've had my bad days. I've had, you know, some times where I'd done some things I shouldn't do because I'm human. But, like, at the end of the day, man, compared to that guy that I was before, who was just trying to change up all the time. And now at least I know that there's a plan for me. I don't know what that is half the time, but I know there is one. And I know that it's not to be that. And people have been patient with me over the years. And I don't know if I could be as patient with me as other people have been with me, but I'm grateful that they have been, because now I feel like I have this responsibility to, when I'm asked to do things like this, even though I'm like, man, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't, you know, like I was supposed to speak at this event coming up in next month or whatever. And I had to back out of it because I was like kind of praying on it. And I'm like, man, I don't want to be out here like standing on the stage, like, look at me type thing. Even though it's not that, if I feel like it's that in my heart, like I can't do it, because that means I'm taking credit for things that I have nothing to take credit for. It's simply grace and other people being patient and kind and tolerant with me. So, yeah, kind of long-winded answer, but yeah, that's kind of the backstory on how I kind of got to where I am sitting here. You know,
We need to hear those roots, though, right?
Yeah.
So it is a winding, messy, hard road, messier and what may appear to be harder for others, but that is who Nick Palmer was.
Yeah,
And the day he chose to be redeemed in Christ is a pinnacle moment that shifted everything for you. When things before you had not worked, you found the truth and held on to it. And so I think it's important for that truth and that in your heart to be heard, because I know at some point here, Adam's going to ask you, like, you know, the uphill climb out. And so to know that you are on your knees on the ground, being supported by strangers, rock bottom can feel so different. And at that moment, that became that ascension for you in your life.
yeah, I agree.
And for a young person, maybe they're in high school and they see Nick's dog cart at First Friday, and they think, man, look at this guy. He's got it easy. He's got his food truck. He's got a line of 40 people waiting on a hot dog.
Right.
You know, right? They don't realize that it took a lot of work to get where you're at.
Yeah.
With a lot of help from other people and your belief, and it hasn't always been easy.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, another reason why I agreed to come here is because there's a kid out there, and I'm going to try not to get emotional, but there's a boy out there that was like I was, sitting in high school, or, you know, just screwed up a military career, whatever he did, you know, or just getting out of jail or just getting out of a treatment center. And it's like, man, if you're stumbled across this podcast or you're religious listener to this podcast and you're struggling, just know, like, one foot in front of the other each day. Ask for help. You don't have to do it by yourself, but there is hope for you, you know? And I hopefully that's the point that I can get across with my life from here moving forward, is being of service and being like, hey man, no matter what you do, and even if you start doing good and you'd mess up, there's always hope, you know? None of us are perfect. We all have our stuff. Mine happens to be that, but there's people who have other stuff that they're dealing with, and we're all human, you know? But yeah, it's been a hard battle. And I'm grateful that I've had people in my corner who love me enough to tell me the truth. And I didn't always like to hear it, but I got a good core group of men around me now that they keep tabs on me still, you know, and I do that for them too. And, you know, we have a men's group that meets once every couple of weeks at 5 a.m. And it's like a Bible study, but it's more like, hey man, is anybody here dealing with anything they want to talk about? And I think men, that's all I know, because I'm a man. Like, I don't really think like men have a lot of that, like to where it's like, no, we have, 3 or 4 guys who meet and you can talk about anything and it stays there. So, I encourage anybody to either start a group like that or find one, because it's done a lot for me.
Yeah.
So,
I've also noticed is you've made this, remarkable recovery, and that you're now pouring into other people, that you're giving back to the community. I know recently there was a family with a young girl that was with some special needs, and you took tips for a while and you donated $1,000 to this family that was in need. That's just one example of who Nick Palmer is today.
And the other side of that is that same family, extended family members of them, were there for me at a very, very low point too. So it's like, I feel like you only get blessed for one reason, and that's to bless other people, period. Money comes and goes. Sometimes people get put in your path. It's like, okay, if we don't help them, who's going to? So, that's why I try to I use my network for that. Not for me, for other people, because I know I'm going to get those blessings that they might not be material, they might not be money, but a lot of times those are better than that, the ones that I get. Yeah. And it's the peace and the serenity in my life where it's like, man, I'm not hurting nobody no more. I'm not hurting myself. Like, I'm trying to do the best I can. But yeah, people rally around that in this town, though. People rally around causes. And I don't think it's that way everywhere.
No, I think you're right.
So, I mean, people can think one way or another about, you got your city argument, you got your other stuff, these hard conversations, everybody's complaining about something, and that's cool. Like, I get it. But at the end of the day, if you needed something, this community would probably help you out. So, I don't know. It's something I try to keep in mind when I see something or on social or whatever, and I want to chime in. I'm like, wait a minute. Just shut up, Nick. Like, it's gonna
and that's a hard truth.
Yeah.
Because that division, we can have opinions, and that is what makes our country and our world great, is diversity. But what you do with this vision or that difference of opinion, how you handle it and approach it, and recognize my way, my belief isn't what everybody has to. It doesn't make me ultimately right just because I think you're wrong.
Yeah.
And so you're right. I do agree with you. This is a community that will pour into the hard.
Yeah.
And evaluate the hard and the difficult, celebrate the shiny and the good, but pour into the hard. And I think that is a great reflection back to, and so when you do see those controversial topics on the socials or whatever, you do have to refrain and think, I can be a part of making the divide greater, or figure a way to bridge. Because that person you disagree with, you're right. Most likely, if you needed them, if your tire was flat, you needed a blanket, your house was burning down.
Yeah.
This community shows up.
They do. Plus, like, being a business owner, there's certain pages that I don't want my name on,
Right.
It's
you
a
moonwalk
out. Yeah.
Get me out.
Yeah, it's like the Homer Simpson meme where he goes back into the bushes.
It's
that's
my
like,
favorite.
I'm going back, dude. I'm out of here.
I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's a change, too, because I used to be right up in all the drama and want to throw my opinion in there like it was really important. And now I'm just like, man, whatever. Let me know if you guys need anything.
The one thing that I do see about you and Nick's Dog Cart Facebook page is that you are promoting other businesses.
Yeah.
Other restaurants, other food trucks, Emmett's Paddy Wagon. I see you out there. For me, that is what Thrive In is all about. It's the collaboration, it's the partnerships that together we're all a whole lot better than we are if Nick's is just fighting for Nick's.
Right. Yeah, I think for me, like, I love Emmett, love Tim, I love, Jenny and other people who do food trucks and vending, because, like, not everybody wants what I offer, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, I think sometimes owners and people in small business, they get so wrapped up in, like, competition that they don't also understand that competition is a cornerstone of capitalism. So, like, if there's not a variety of people competing, what do you got? You got boredom. Yeah. So for me, and when I got started, Emmett was doing it before I was, and he helped me, and he was like, hey, here's some advice on how maybe don't do this, or, hey, watch out for this event, or, and so people coming up, I try to do the same thing for them. And There's guys in Indianapolis I talk to that I've collaborated with, like Bearded Bagel and Bearded Burger down there. Tom Race, great dude. Like, the dude's killing it. He's got like 2 brick and mortars, a bakery, and like 3 or 4 trucks, and he's like in front of Lucas Oil all the time. And it's like, I always thought that's what I wanted. Well, then I went down and helped him, and I'm like, dude, I don't know about all like this is too much for me. I still like to watch a football game every once in a while and hang out. But there's guys out there just killing it. And I'm not one of them. Like, I'm doing okay. I'm blessed with what I have, but like, there's people out there who are way better than me and have way better food, quite honestly. But we like what we do. We keep it simple and try to keep it good, and people keep coming back. And we have our regulars that we like to see when we get out. And I haven't been out as much this year as I was previous years because the businesses kind of sparked some new opportunities and new network and things like that for me. So
yeah, you're really, I mean, you're an entrepreneur at this point. You didn't just open a dog cart. You're taking additional opportunities. You're meeting people, and really just going after it.
Yeah, I've been surrounded, like I said, I've been surrounded by great people, and I've tried to stay around people who want to see other people win. Because if you adopt that mentality, what I've witnessed with these people is they win. They win big, like bigger than I can even imagine. And that's who kind of beat that in my head, was the same people were like, hey, you only get these blessings and you only start winning for one reason. That's to help other people win. And you try to do it without getting caught. You don't post about it. You don't try to, be out in the limelight. You just stay in the cut and you just help other people. And so it's opened up a lot of connections, and not only locally, but like out of state and around the United States. Like, I've met all these people in business who are like brilliant, and I have their cell phone number. It's like, dang, like I have a guy for literally everything that I would need. I don't need to know anything. I don't. And I tell them that. I'm like, I don't need to know anything. I just need to be around people who do know it. And if I'm the smartest guy in the room, we're in trouble anyway, So yeah, it's just been great. A lot of opportunities have opened up, and I'm just trying to take the right ones and jump through the right windows and see what happens.
Yeah. What would you tell that high school student that's struggling, not sure what they want to do in the future? Maybe they're not the biggest partier, but they're just not sure what they want to do. What would you tell them?
Man, that's a tougher question than I thought it would, as you were asking it. I guess if I could tell them anything, would be, don't be afraid to ask for help. Be open about that. Be like, hey, I have no idea what I want to do. Because at the end of the day, like, you don't have to. I mean, I would say it's okay, man. You're only 17, 18 years old. You don't have to know what you want to do, but get to work. Get to work on something, but even if that's a plan. But I think action, for me, action has created a lot of things. Because I could sit around and talk about ideas all day long, but if I don't go do something, nothing's going to happen, It's kind of like the weight thing, like I got up to like 257 and like heavy. And it's like, nothing's going to happen unless I get up and do something. It's the same way in business or your life, I think, is do something. Find good people to be around. Find people who are successful and literally just get with them and just be like, hey, I'm going to hang out here. That's what I did with people. I just started being around them, and they didn't, like a stray cat, right? Like, they didn't shoo me off. And I was like, cool. And they kind of halfway like me. So then you just listen. Become a sponge around successful people. And because a lot of times the people who are successful and who are doing big things, like, they want to teach you, they want to help you, they want you to win too, because that's the whole mentality. So what I found is just snuggle up next to these people and go for the ride, and you can't lose doing that. So
that's great advice.
Yeah. I mean, just call me. I'll line you up with somebody. I know a lot of people that want to help young guys or young women to be successful.
It wasn't always easy, though, this trip through becoming this entrepreneur, from going from a street cart to an actual food truck to launching a second business. There were ups and downs just in that learning curve. So what kept you on track to not slip out of being in active recovery? What was it for you? Because I think that is the other thing, that if someone who's not where you are today but who's on that precipice is thinking, oh, but he made it all the way. He's got all these, he's successful. I'm sure there was temptation and there was hard.
Oh, I messed up along the way. I mean, I haven't been like perfectly perfect the whole time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
there's been mistakes and there's been slips and there's been backtracking. And yeah, I think what I had to do is get that mentality of I have to be perfect out because nobody is. And yeah, if someone looks at me and thinks that I have it all together, they're wrong. Like I have a lot of stuff that I have to work on. I have a long way to go. And I think we all do, so, but it is easy to like look, cause I did that. I used to look at like people on the outside and be like, man, if I could just be like that guy, he don't have any problems. Looks like he's got it all together.
Sure.
Then a couple of those guys, I got to know them and come to find out they're just normal dudes with a lot of money in the bank. Normal guys struggle with the same thing I struggle with,
That's right.
Same problems, same insecurity, same everything, And to be real honest, I think back sometimes when I didn't have anything and I'm like, that sucked. But the part of it was kind of chill. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of peaceful because so you pick your poison, I think, like I would much rather have the life I have today than I did then. But like, I don't know. There's a lot of different moving parts when it comes to entrepreneurship or being in small business or networking. And there's just a lot going on.
And it's going to be hard. Yeah, hard doesn't go away no matter what point of success you are in your life, what's going on in your work life, what's going on in your personal life. It's never always just going to stay happy and sunny and easy. It's going to storm and it's going to pour and you're going to slip and fall.
Yeah.
Those things are going to happen. But it sounds like to me, at some point, you made this choice to get back up.
Yeah.
Or surrounded yourself with people who are like, Nick, get up.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like that's the whole goal is because life, no matter what, it's going to knock you down. This world's cruel out here and it's going to knock you down and you just have to get up. You're going to get into bad business dealings. Things aren't going to go how they were planned and you're going to have partnerships fail and all this different stuff in business. And like at the end of the day, you have to be able to look in the mirror and get back up and move forward and not worry about what happened in the past.
That's right.
Because you can't change it and it's a wasted energy worrying about it. And like to your question about, a younger version of myself or like a kid who's in high school or college or, 20s, even 30s, like, geez, I'm thinking 30s young now.
Same.
Holy cow. So, or if you're 50 or 60 and you're wanting to start a business, do it. Like I might stroke out tonight and not be here tomorrow. I'm not going to waste any time wondering if I can or if I shouldn't or what people are going to think. That's a big one too. If I was to tell somebody that's younger, quit worrying about what other people think. That's a big one because I was always worried about that and it gets you nowhere. And I had an old guy tell me one time, he said, Nick, quit worrying about what other people think about you because I'm going to tell you how it really is. I'm like, okay. And this guy would. He didn't care about hurting your feelings, but very successful guy. He said, quit worrying about what people think of you, man. He said, because, what was it? 90% of the people don't care about your problems and 10% are glad they're happening to you. He said, so you're over here worried about what they think. That's what they think. So just move on now, And it was kind of funny, but I mean, there's some truth to that.
A lot of truth.
Yeah. And this guy's name was Frank. He's no longer with us, but he's from Fort Wayne area. And just a dude who would tell you straight up what he thought, and he'd been through it all. And so you kind of listen. He didn't say a whole lot, but when he did talk, you listened to him. So
Thanks, Frank.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold on to that one too.
God rest your soul, Frank. Appreciate you, man. But yeah, I think that, man, it's just a journey. Like I said before we got going here, like it's just such a cool thing. Like if you really think about life, like for me, I'm grateful for like even the bad, because you're not going to be the person you're supposed to be without that.
Absolutely.
Ever. And no one has an easy road. It might look that way, but they've got their stuff too. And, I think it's my goal and my responsibility to, if those same people need help, then I'm there to help them if I can. You can't help everybody, but you can try to do what you can or get a hold of people in your network to help them, even if it's in like business or personal or, spiritual, whatever it is. And if my spiritual bag isn't yours, then that's cool. Whatever works for you.
I can still love you.
Yeah. Whatever works for you,
You're right, though. Those hard moments, and those are different for everybody. And it doesn't matter if it's in relationship, if it's in work, if it's you're going for your master's and there's a class that's bothering you, or if it's a physical thing. It's those hard moments are where the real growth happens. It's easy. I mean, if you're brilliant at math, you're not growing as fast as if you're taking that really hard class that you're like, man, this is an uncomfortable speech class. But that's where the growth happens.
Yes.
You pour into your Bible or you join a men's club that is uncomfortable for you.
Yeah.
You're going to grow out of that.
Yeah. There's still situations in my spiritual walk too that like I get uncomfortable, like talking about it on here, we read a lot about courage and faith and letting the light shine through us. And then like we just had this conversation in my men's group. We're like, but do we, like, do we I have a journal that says courage on the front of it. And I had to pull it out of a drawer to take it and I was like, it's like, really, dude? Like,
well, the world makes you feel like it's almost shameful to be vulnerable. And on our faith practice, for those who are active in that or want to be active in it, the world wants you to feel almost a shame in that, and that's part of the world dividing, and really your whole hope is to pour love back out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. Like I've met tons of people from different walks of life, and there's good people everywhere. I went out to Pennsylvania I was meeting with some customers out there, and
this is your other business, this isn't your
this is material wholesalers.
That's right.
I was out there and I had meetings and I was meeting with people, and I was going to go to Longhorn Steakhouse to eat. Well, I didn't really want to drive because I hate driving when I'm like out of town. I don't know where I'm going, so I just got an Uber there. Well, the guy that picked me up was an older guy, and we were talking, and it was like a super good conversation about chasing dreams. Actually, he was like, I tell people all the time, you have to chase your dream. And he goes, life's too short not to chase your dreams. I'm like, the lady that picks me up from Longhorn Steakhouse, taking me back to my hotel, she was a black lady, and we got to talking, and she's like, they just want us divided. You know what I mean? They don't. And it's like, dude, yes, this is reality. Like all this stuff we're hearing about is not what's going on out here. Like there's good people everywhere. And like this lady, like by the time we got done, she's like, I just have to get out and give you a hug. And so she gets out and gives me a hug, and she's like, you have a good night, honey. It was nice to meet you. I was like, nice to meet you too. Her name was Kim, and just a great lady. And, we went on, who knows, went on our merry way, but man, and she's sharing her struggles with me, and I was sharing some stuff that I was dealing with. And it was just, there's good people everywhere.
Yeah. We've talked about this multiple times on the podcast, and Christine and I, we've been fortunate enough to travel internationally as we've gotten older, but we've also traveled in the States as well. And you don't even have to get far away. You could just go to Chicago or go to Louisville or Nashville. You're going to meet different people that's not from right here, and you're going to learn the basics that everybody really just wants the same thing.
Yes.
And there's a lot of similarity between all of us. It doesn't matter our language we speak, skin color. We all want a roof over our head. We want to be able to eat, and we want to have community with other people.
Yeah, I want to feel loved, Yeah, exactly, 100%. And I think, like, for me, I was living in a world for a long time where I didn't believe that, or I didn't see that, or didn't let myself see that. And it's such a beautiful thing when you start kind of waking up, I guess, a little bit to reality of, man, everybody out here ain't bad. Nobody's really out to get me, because I always thought that, these people are out here to screw me over, and no, man, that's in your head. You're around either that or you're around the wrong people. And, if you can't change your surroundings, it's.
And we all get a choice, right?
Yeah.
We all have this choice. We can either be a hand up to someone or it could be a hand pulling them down. Every interaction we have with everyone around us is a choice.
Yeah.
And how we interact with each other. And it sounds to me like you have chosen to be a hand up where you can, where you can meet people where they are. And if you can offer them a hand up and grab hold and say, how can I walk alongside you? How can I assist you? How can I help you grow?
Yeah.
That sounds like almost a way you've started to approach the way that you live in every situation, whether it's work or personal.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously that's nothing that I came up with though. That's something that's been told and taught to me through what I believe in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's love people like Jesus loved them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even good at it. I'm not even close to good at it, but I think as long as you're kind of striving to at least do that more than you're not, you can win just doing that, because people will feel that. And even if people mess up or they make mistakes or they backslide in their recovery, whatever it is, it's all good.
That's right.
That's what we're all here for, is to learn, get back up, keep moving forward. That doesn't make you a bad person. That doesn't make you a failure. That makes you human. Mm-hmm. And until I could adopt that mentality and believe that, there was no hope, really. I mean, I was going to keep doing what I was always doing and getting what I was always getting, But I'm just grateful that I got a second chance, and I try to take that seriously and value it and share it when I can. So, yeah.
Well, Nick, I appreciate you coming on the podcast studio with us and sharing this message that it's not always easy, and that the real growth can happen when we're at our bottom, and that we can lean on community and faith and not to give up.
Yeah.
You were probably as close as you could be.
Yeah.
And somehow you woke up and.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys asking me to be here. Like I said, it's humbling to be asked to anybody you want to hear your story or what you think. And I don't take that for granted. And, hopefully, my whole goal was hopefully somebody heard this and got some hope, and they're not going to give up. They're going to get back up and put one foot in front of the other, no matter if you've messed up or what's going on in your life. And if you see me out and about, feel free to come up and say hello. And if anybody ever needs anything from me, I'll try to do my best to help them out.
You say you appreciate us having you as a guest. I believe in my heart, and I speak definitely on behalf of my co-hosts, but our community, thank you for showing up. Thank you for choosing us. Thank you for pouring back in. Thank you for not giving up on this community. You talk about how the community didn't give up on you, but at the same token, you also chose not to abandon this place or to turn your back or to be bitter toward it, but then to reciprocate that kindness and now share that outward. So I also want to take this time, especially on behalf of the podcast crew, to thank you.
Thank you, Christine. I appreciate that. Yeah.
And we'll look forward to seeing Nick's dog cart out in the spring time or during the summer at fundraisers and First Fridays and LeGros, all the fun times. And we'll be sure to link the Facebook page for Nick's dog cart
awesome.
For our audience as well, so that they can stay up to date on your calendar.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. And anybody who hasn't been out to see us yet, we're always welcome, and we look forward to meeting new people. So Thanks a lot.
Christine, would you like to close it out tonight?
You did talk about, though, Nick, about the generosity of this type of community. This podcast is an example of that generosity, and we're lucky to get to thank those people who poured into trusting us with something new. This is new for us.
Yeah.
And so this podcast is a part of Destination Wabash County, which is the nonprofit extension of Visit Wabash County, and it is supported by Mark and Amy Ford, the Lisa Gilman Investment Fund, the Sandy Kunkel Trust, Paperworks Industries, the City of Wabash, and the Community Foundation of Wabash County, and of course, Visit Wabash County, have taken a chance on us to take this and share the stories of incredible resiliency and those who are doing great things to make Wabash County continue to thrive. So thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You did great over there, Adam, as always, running
Adam
the
killed it.
soundboard. He always kills it. Until next time, I'm Christine Floor, and this is Thrive in Wabash County.